Hello everyone, this is Ben Kearns. I'm talking to you today about Valmont Industries, stock ticker VMI. Valmont is traded on the New York Stock Exchange, and they are a leading producer of fabricated metal products. Their business is segmented into four separate areas. One is the engineered support structures segment. We also have a utility segment, a coating segment, and an irrigation segment. The reason that I was interested in researching Valmont for this project is because I currently work for an agriculture startup, and we deploy soil moisture sensors to help farmers with irrigation management. Valmont is the biggest player in our industry and is a company that is, in a lot of ways envied for the products that they're able to offer their end users, which is the farmer, for irrigation management. So as far as the products that they offer, the ESS offerings, those are your outdoor lighting fixtures, your traffic control, overhead infrastructure, and wireless communication structures. For the utility segment, these are pole structures for electrical transmission and related power distribution equipment. And then the coatings are just like it sounds, which is coatings for coating services for Valmont and their other industrial customers. For the irrigation segment, is what I just kind of spoke on, but they offer mechanized irrigation equipment, which will deliver water, fertilizers, herbicides, and pesticides to crops. Valmont Industries was founded in Nebraska in 1946. They first started with center pivot irrigation machines, as you can see with the picture to the right there, with the first center pivot prototype. They started manufacturing steel and pipe in 1949, and that's when the company was formed. During the 1960s, they did a lot of tapered lubes for outdoor lighting and traffic signals. They went public in '68. And during the 70s, there was a lot of tubular structures for electrical utilities. And they also started with the irrigation markets overseas, and that formed Valmont International. During the 1980s, the microcomputer division was developed to advance irrigation and fertigation techniques. And they invest in French and steel aluminum lighting markets during that time as well. During the 90s, Valmont went through a phase of expansion and opened up steel galvanizing plants across the United States. And then a couple notable acquisitions. After that, in 1994, they acquired Energy Steel Corporation, Newmark International, and then their first plant was opened in India in 2012. Energy Steel Corporation, by the way, is the move that really signified the company's entrance into the utility market. And the acquisition of Newmark International, they manufactured concrete poles, so this led to the formation of the utility segment. In terms of more recent acquisitions, Valmont has acquired Walpar, and they are a sign manufacturing company out of Birmingham. In 2019, they acquired Larson Camouflage. They make cell phone towers, and it's just like it sounds. The towers are camouflage with the scenery around it, or they're, for example, it's made into a tree, so it looks like a tree. And then in 2020, they acquired AgSense. They acquired the Valley Irrigation, who owned AgSense. So they're operating under the Valley brand name, but they do irrigation systems, and they can control factors such as on and off timing, individual field sector control, rate and depth of water and chemical application, so all those things. Through the ownership of AgSense, it develops remote monitoring technology for pivot irrigation systems, and these are sold on a subscription basis. So the AgSense technology will allow farmers to remotely monitor and operate irrigation equipment and other farm implements. So data management and control with this is achieved using applications that are running either on a desktop or an iPad or mobile app. So in the most recent 10K, we see revenue split across the four segments we talked about. 30% of the revenue came from the irrigation in 2019, and 51% of that came from the engineered support structures, which is one of the reasons why I see this as a buy. I think in both of their strong segments, I can see growth for reasons we'll touch on later. In terms of a SWOT analysis, I think that Valmont has some strengths in the fact that they're diversified. They're in a couple different industries, in a couple different industries that are also pretty consistent. In addition, they're ready for technology advancements. Particularly, I'm thinking of the irrigation segment here, where variable rate irrigation is a technology that is going to be coming to us. And what that is a technology that allows you to irrigate different parts of a field differently based off of the readings that you're getting from soil moisture sensors, about how much, how dry it is at different depths in the soil, which will tell you, not only the places in the field that you need to irrigate, but also how much water to apply and how much herbicides and pesticides to apply as well. So that technology is there. Valmont is ready for it. It's just a matter of getting the price point down to where a farmer can actually pay for it, and also having the science behind it as far as how to actually use the system. A potential weakness would be that they're too diversified. A company that comes to mind with this for me is General Electric, where they had a hand in everything, but really weren't doing great at anything, and the company since seem to have turned a corner, but that is something that you're concerned about. For opportunities, water is very vague, but what I'm speaking of is water scarcity. So our weather patterns are more volatile than they used to be, which means that farmers are irrigating more, and irrigation systems are becoming more prevalent. We're also using more water, and farmers use more water than almost anyone. So as we're depleting surface water and groundwater aquifers at a more rapid rate, water scarcity does become more of an issue. And there's a lot of regulation in certain parts of the United States already. Speaking of California and the Central Plains, such as Northwest Texas and Kansas, with an Ogallala aquifer that's steadily depleting. There's a lot of government regulation as far as how much you can pump, which is a challenge for a lot of farmers, but it does present opportunity for smarter irrigation decisions. Then another opportunity for Valmont would be the $2 billion infrastructure plan that was just announced by President Biden today. We're not really sure exactly how that's going to shake out and where that money is going to go yet, but you'd have to think with the amount of road signage that would be needed, the steel that would be needed, and also the street lights that would be needed for an infrastructure plan like that, could only help Valmont. And the third opportunity is with current trends with commodities and farm income. Farmers have had a rough go of it in recent years, but commodity prices have improved, and when prices improve, farm income improves, and that allows farmers to be able to spend more freely on an expensive irrigation system. Some of the threats that may be coming are the decline of center pivot irrigation. Subsurface drip irrigation is another way that people will irrigate. It is more expensive, but it's said to be more efficient, especially in the more arid climates. Seawater desalination is another I guess, competing technology. It raises the question, how much, if we can desalinate our seawater, how much of a problem do we really have with water? Because the technology is already there to do that, and we are doing it. It's just another one of those things where the price point isn't necessarily there yet. And then I have Nucor here, but there's other steel manufacturing companies that are going to be competing for this infrastructure plan. And the last little bit of the presentation is just covering the financial and stock analysis of the company. So we're trading at $239 as of today. Today is March 31st, and the market cap is $5.09 billion. So this is showing the full historical data, and then we see the 5-year trend here of the company. So our market cap is $5.09 billion. Shares outstanding just over 21 million. We're currently trading $239.23. So maybe a little bit. I got $239.42, so possibly a little bit undervalued, but pretty close overall. The dividend yield is 1.7%, so they do offer a dividend. In terms of our CAPM, the beta for 5-year was 1.18, and then the alpha for 5-year was negative 0.29%. Our CAPM beta was really good for the 25-year at 0.89, and the alpha was 0.62 for the 25-year trends. So in conclusion here, I have a long-term buy on Valmont Industries. There are risks associated with it. That being that, some of these irrigation investments don't pan out for the company, or some of the other threats that I mentioned on a couple slides ago come into fruition. The alpha and betas, they were good, but they weren't necessarily great. And then also another risk would be that you're sort of betting on the future. So, where I see this stock going is I see it being bolstered by an infrastructure deal, and I see it being bolstered by advancements in irrigation technology and the need for it. My recommendation is a long-term buy. The analyst consensus rating is also a buy. I was listening to Jim Cramer today, and one of the things that he mentioned about the infrastructure deal is that the United States has never really been great at infrastructure. So if you're going to play this game, you want to invest in a company that you think could do well still on its own volition. And I think with the diversification that Valmont has, they're in a position where even if they don't get a lot of business from the infrastructure deal, they're still a sound company that's going to do well on its own volition. Thank you all for listening. If you have any questions, you can please reach out to me.